Cool. actually dig down about a meter, you can find burn lines in the soil where they've been torched. So this bastion was built by the Americans, reconstructed, and I'm a little thankful of it. Those little 32-pound cannons could fire anything from solid shot to that one over there was specifically designed since it was aiming the bore could be loaded with what's called canister shot. Canister shot, imagine a big Heinz soup can. I don't know what those look like, full of tomato soup, filled with musket balls, about 200 of them. Ram down the muzzle of a cannon, about a pound of black, or probably more than a pound, a couple pounds of black powder behind it, and fired down into the dry ditch. And that acted like a big shotgun. So any unfortunate Americans who happened to be in there would be like Swiss cheese. They could also load round iron balls. Oh yeah, like we've had like archaeologists come in and look all over the river. They're also loaded with bar and chain shot. So that's actually 2 cast iron balls and length of chain that would be fired into the rigging of a ship, and it would spin, and then it would wrap around ropes and sails and tear them down. For masts or hardened wooden stuff, they would load with bar shots. Imagine like a dumbbell you used to work out with, crammed down the front of a cannon and fired at a ship. So these guys meant business when they were shooting. By what's called the Royal Regiment of Artillery. They've been wearing similar blue uniforms, but they would have had red collars, red cuffs, with kind of yellow trim. That's how you identified them from American. That's pretty much it about these cannons. Specifically, they would also had field artillery, which had with big carriage wheels, and you could roll those around. They're much smaller, no bigger than 12-pound shot been fired out of them. That's how they're actually gauged, is how heavy the shot is that they're firing. And those could be wheeled around by horses and stuff like that, and deployed anywhere on a battlefield to support Soldiers are getting a little bit sad. They miss their wives, they miss their families, so they allowed them to actually come in here and live with the soldiers. Not everyone, it was done by a lottery system, and you kind of went wherever your husband went. So, where's everyone from? Can I just throw out some names of places you're from? Australia. So, there could have been men, not necessarily in the 34th Regiment, but men serving in the penal colony in Australia, military personnel. Anybody else? Anywhere else? British Columbia? Has anyone gone to India? I'm from India. There you go. So the 34th Regiment of Foot was not in India, but men of regiments just like this could have been serving India 1 year and then be in Canada the next. So you served all over the place, and your wife and your family would have come along with you. So it was quite the life of adventure actually, considering most of these men were from pretty poor backgrounds and couldn't afford to travel really anywhere else in their lifetime. Most people until really the 20th century didn't travel more than about 30 miles from where they were born to where they died. You were into battle, punishment, so yes, even when you were getting detention basically, you had to wear those coats. Although in detention they kind of beat you with a whip rather than like made you sit at a desk. When you went to formal dinners, when you went to church, it was like your fancy tux. It was what you wore on your best days. Your Sunday best. The other jacket was smaller, like kind of, very simplified jacket. It was your Forbes jacket. So you were wearing that, 90% of the time is your work dress. You were wearing that when you were drilling, when you were working, when you were almost any time that you weren't wearing your regimental coat, because it wasn't until late 1840s that soldiers were allowed to wear any type of civilian dress in their service. So you were always wearing a uniform all the time. Any other questions? all the exact same business, a little different. So load and fire one of these bad boys. First thing we'll do is open up the prison.
Excuse me. Alright, so what I'm holding right now is a Springfield musket. It is actually the American version. So what the Americans would have been firing during the War of 1812 and during the rebellions as well. But lucky for you, it works the exact same as the musket I'm usually using. So what we have here is flintlock technology. So what that means is we've got this tiny sharp piece of rock called a flint that's actually powering our entire musket. So what happens? Okay, sorry. So what happens, there's about 15 steps to loading a musket in total. It starts off in 1812 underneath your arm just like this, and you're going to open up that lock area here. What you're doing is exposing a tiny little hole called a pan. And once you've got that open, you can reach around into a cartridge box. He's pretty funny when he's running. He's too tall for his own good. I think he is, just a little bit. Alright, so once I get that pan open there, I'm actually going to pull out a cartridge. So a cartridge is just a paper tube filled with black powder or gunpowder. Here at Fort Malden, we do not fire live, so there's no bullet in there. It's just powder. But historically, during times of war, you'd have your black powder in there and you'd have your bullet or your musket ball sitting at the very bottom of this little package. Unfortunately for the soldiers, they didn't have scissors out there on the battlefield. They're opening this cartridge with their teeth. One of the few requirements to actually joining the British Army back in those days is that you had at least 2 teeth that touched, so you could in fact open your cartridge and load your musket. Other than that, not too picky. Once you get that cartridge open, you're going to pour some of the powder into the pan. You're going to close it up so you don't lose anything, and you're going to bring the musket down to your side. From there, you're going to pour the rest of the gunpowder down the barrel. You're going to throw the musket ball down there, and you're even going to put the paper tube down there as well. Unfortunately, all that stuff gets stuck about halfway down the barrel sometimes, so you're going to take out a ramrod and send that after everything, just to ensure that everything is in fact at the very bottom of that barrel. It's important during this time to only use 2 fingers though. The musket can accidentally go off from here. So if it does go off, you're going to lose probably your thumb and your index finger, but the good news is for you, you've got 3 fingers left so you can keep on firing. The other important thing to do, it seems kind of silly to mention, take your rammer out and put it back onto your musket. Although you can fire it out of one of these and turn it into a bit of a shish kebab, or your enemy that is, you do need it to reload. So unless you know that it's going to be a one-shot battle, you want to make sure to put that away so you can continue to fire. From there though, we are finally fully loaded. You'll see me bring the musket up to this position. This is called the make ready. I'm going to pull this hammer piece as far back as I possibly can. I will then present the musket into my shoulder and then fire. So in a perfect world, what you want to happen when you fire a musket, this piece here will be about here, where my finger is right now. When I pull that trigger, it's going to fly forward. The rock that it's holding is going to strike this flat metal piece here called a frizzen, and that's going to make sparks. Those sparks are going to fall on the powder that I put in the pan and cause a small explosion, which will then travel through a tiny hole into the barrel and will hopefully fire the main charge of the musket there. However, I do say hopefully because these muskets misfire about 30% of the time. And we did experience quite a few this morning. So if I'm out there and you guys hear a click instead of a really big bang, that means there's a problem. There are a number of different misfires and a number of ways to clear them, but I just ask that if I'm out there and you do hear that awful click sound, that you bear with me. I will try to make it work as quickly as I can. What's going to happen now though, I will march out into the parade square here and I will fire 2 shots. The first shot I fire I'm going to do nice and slowly. Generally the first shot of the battle that was fired that way, they would all be loading at the exact same time in unison. It makes your army look super awesome and super intimidating. The second shot I fire, I will try to fire a little bit quicker. On average, the British soldiers can load and fire in about 15 seconds. However, this is not my musket, and if you notice, it's almost as tall as I am. So chances are I'm probably not going to make that 15-second mark today. But feel free to time me if you like. For your safety, I do have to ask everyone, including chaperones, unfortunately, to just remain on the porch until the demonstration is over. And then if you guys have any questions at all, I'd be more than happy to answer.
They're coming! Faster!
Bruce, you're coming! Bruce, you're coming!